Was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
Welcome back to the Hishaku Hideout, a weekly podcast where we talk about the latest chapter and everything Kagurabachi. I'm here with Dice.
Yo.
And today we're getting to chapter 126, and boy, we are officially back. Officially back too. You know, Hokuzono, like, already got shown in, got Shueisha regretting him returning. Those, that final spread with the black, those ink reserves are definitely gonna be hurting.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even the first page.
Oh, true.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
right off the rip.
Was that ever really? Yeah.
Right off
was
rip.
this ever really in doubt?
And the chapter title,
like
right? Fire.
Yeah. Is it too early to make like this chapter is pretty fire joke? No.
Well, you just read the chapter, so it's still fresh for you. So we'll let that go. But like, I'm pretty sure
yes.
I've been on Twitter twice today. I'm tired of looking at the discourse in the fandom. I don't think anybody will be happy at any point. So I post whatever I post and I get off of Twitter. So I'm sure someone's made that joke already though, considering it's been out for half the day.
Yeah.
But we'll pretend.
Yeah.
You know, because we do have chat with us today. We're doing this live, but we'll pretend like you're the first person. But
Appreciate
now,
that.
Dice, how do you feel about this chapter back?
I mean,
That
what
speech,
can I say,
yeah.
right? I mean,
Words won't. They can't express. My man's just stun locked.
I guess what I can say is like nothing surprises me when it comes to Hokuzono at this point. Cause how many times have I said that like nobody could have predicted what like we got in this chapter? Like how many times have I said that on this podcast already? Right?
Watch when
And
it's
like,
revealed that Hatshaku's the one who killed Kunishige's dad. Dun dun dun.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. We're not bringing up Hishaku.
I don't know, man.
Much
He was
less like
yeah. You know, every character that is kind of like just like semi hinted at, but has no like actual character. That person is just a potential Hatshaku fill-in.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about Hishaku today. Sorry, guys.
Thank God.
But
like, I mean,
this isn't gonna be a situation like we see Kunishige's dad's forehead and he's got like stitches. Like no, like we're not doing this.
Oh yeah. Oh, that I would throw up. That's one thing I definitely am good on. You know, I'm good on that. But the characters we will be talking about today is obviously Kunishige and Chiaki. You know, their names have been propping up a lot in the fandom recently. And, you know, that's always a fun kick in the nuts to like just experience that discourse. But I mean, I guess just to get the elephant out the room, right? I'm sure there's people who are gonna look at Kunishige's mom and the whole fridging thing. But I mean, some characters are just meant to not have a role in the story. You know what I mean? Like whether it's man or woman, whether it's whatever, it doesn't matter. Just some characters, they just serve a certain purpose, right? But like the character writing that we got from Chiaki, like I really loved what was being done on in execution with their characters.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're totally right in the sense that like this chapter really focuses on Kunishige and Chiaki, and like just really how deep that bond like goes, if that makes sense. Like just really like how genuine that bond is. And I do like how this chapter is like at first like it focuses on Kunishige and his parents, which like really surprised me. You and me kind of talked about this. Like I never really expected to see Chihiro's grandparents, which might have been silly, but considering like the Rokuhira eyes and that, you would think that like we have to find out more about that. It's not like a lot that we find out this chapter. We just know that Kunishige understandably so, like inherited it from his father. I do think it's very interesting that his eyes were a little redder than his father's. Again, not really much, but I do like that. I think it's very interesting. I don't think we've gotten like any sort of statement when it comes to like Chihiro's, so I wonder like how Chihiro's compares to Kunishige's. Um, but yeah, like even beyond that, just like I'm sorry, Kunishige's parents in general, like this isn't anything we haven't seen before. This sort of tragic backstory. And this is something I'm pretty sure we've talked about before on this pod, like, or at least like I've brought up the fact that like Hokuzono really doesn't tend to reinvent the wheel in like when it comes to like a lot of his the way a lot of his characters are written and the way he writes Kagurabachi as a whole, but his execution is to me what like very rarely misses. And I'm not gonna say it's flawless. Kagurabachi isn't perfect, but obviously like I fucking love this story. Um, and I do think like he rarely misses in his execution. And this isn't anything crazy, you know. That like you know, drunk of a dad beats his wife. Um, he also gets killed. Like I know you talked about like the discourse. Let's not forget that like you know his dad also gets killed, and like obviously nobody feels bad for him, and you know rightfully so. Um, I do think that like there's been enough talk in regards to the female character writing. It's not something I really want to get into right now. Um, I just like what this chapter does for Kunishige. And Kunishige is like another character. And I'm sorry, I know I'm yapping, by the way. um, Tiberius, I apologize. So I guess I'll just wrap up my thoughts by saying that like I like what this does for Kunishige and how broken it makes him as a character and like tragic. Like I think this cements him like as like an even more tragic character and recontextualizes not just like the Chihiro and Kunishige stuff way early, you know, in terms of like how it was Chihiro taking care of Kunishige, but also like how we met Kunishige like not so long ago, the conditions he was living in. We thought we knew why in terms of like how he saw like forging katanas and making a living wasn't all that important to him as long as he could like live by his values. But we also see like there's a whole nother like layer to that, and his own self-worth, and we'll talk about it again. I apologize for yapping so much. Tibers.
You're good. Like, yeah, for sure with Kunishige, it's him. Yeah, man, that definitely tragic is the word. And I know there's like a lot of I guess like there's a lot of like things you could point to that are like and like wrong with Kunishige as a father and things like that. But I mean, just seeing like where he came from, like the big thing to me, like we spoke a little bit about before the actual episode recording, is him kind of breaking this like generational trauma. Because there's probably something to be said that the Rokuhira is like his dad, Kunishige's grandpa may have been the same type of asshole. And that's where his father learned that behavior from. And it's obviously there's nothing, we don't get like old great grandpa Kunishi Oroku here, excuse me, but that's how those sort of things go. Like monkey see, monkey do. And for Kunishige to also, like, now that we know, like, I personally believe that Chiaki is not around in the present time, that Kunishige is moving with like urgency to save Chiaki. That's kind of why I still feel that Magatsumi could be crafted first, because like we are witnessing like this could be the thing that Kunishige is thinking about while he's crafting that first sword. This could be like he could be crafting the first enchanted blade, and it's his memory like thinking about all these times, like his childhood, and then like what it meant for Chiaki to be that like shining light, that sparkler, just to illuminate the darkness, to where like, because we saw him as a young man, right? It was to the point where he was just laying down and just the sound of the dripping water. And the next time you see that like drop of water, it's from him like crying. It felt like he had no more emotions for himself. Like he couldn't cry for himself anymore. He just thought maybe he had those thoughts it'd be best if he wasn't around. So it's like, man, it's such like those are like very heavy things to play into, and like we'll kind of talk a bit about like what exactly was going on with his mom. Obviously his dad's a dickhead, but like
Yeah, probably
yeah,
among the biggest pieces of shit in Bachi, which is like, hey,
and like
look at that.
and it goes to show you, man. And the thing is, like, even though like his mom was relieved that like that hell was over, the damage is already done. Like the things that he was doing, like you cannot take those things back. And like
yeah, he did irreparable damage
Yeah.
to that family.
and
Yeah.
we saw how that like tethers like the mom's like animosity and just
Oh, yeah.
for like Kunishige's dad, like what that asshole put her through. Like she broke. That meant her mental fortitude just it was strained. Like what she went through, you can't really like like I said, it's just one of those tragic moments or those tragic scenarios that you can only just kind of feel bad for Kunishige. But like it just never really sat right with me calling Kunishige a bad dad. Maybe not a perfect father, but like even before this, and now we saw where he come from, and the fact that him losing the light that saved his life, like in the coming like what less than 2 years from this moment, like, or I guess not from that moment actually when they're children, but like from like less than 2 years from when he's actually crafting the first blade. Like he's gonna lose the woman that like lit that brought light into his abyss of darkness. So like that, he still managed to shoulder all that burden to being a good father in my eyes to Chihiro.
Yeah, it's what he didn't, in a way, like what he protected Chihiro from, or like more accurately, what you always hear parents say, oh, I'm not gonna allow my son to go through the same shit I did, right? When it comes to like really, fucked up experiences. We've talked about generational trauma before within the context of Kagurabachi. And I think Kunishige, as much like as broken as a man that he was himself, and I'm sure we'll continue to learn more about him. Like this makes me think that we haven't gotten, like we're not done like fleshing out Kunishige as a character, and that's like the prospect of that is exciting. Um, but to me, this is just like kind of just I kind of lost my own my
Well,
train
like,
of thought.
let me ask you this, like, to
Yeah.
kind of feel like what you're about to say is like, are
Yeah, go
we
ahead.
gonna get those moments of like Kunishige's thoughts about now with the added trauma of his creation doing the malediction and wiping out 200,000 lives? Like, what exactly what was his nights consisting of when he had Chihiro, like as a kid and raising him? Like the burden that was on that man's back, like for 15 years while raising his son. um like trust me, I guarantee you he didn't want to lose, obviously doesn't want to lose Chiaki. And I just think like those moments of seeing more of Kunishige, do you think that we're gonna get to see those like those night times with Kunishige while Chihiro was being raised by him?
I mean, I like would not be surprised at all at this point, really, because we saw how he talks about like not wanting to burden his, his own friends, right? And I'm sure he might have like overcome some of that with Chiaki, but Chiaki isn't around, regardless of her state, because we don't really
Yeah.
know her fate yet, for sure, but she isn't around. So I'm sure those are things that he grappled with, lonely nights, just staring at the ceiling. Um, Again, I think this does like exceptional stuff for Kunishige. Uh, and again, it's the execution of Hokuzono, because yet again he manages to introduce fleeting characters again, like Kunishige's mom, and his dad, and just like make them have like an impact in the story.
Yeah, and how their
Um,
impact follows, the trail that it leaves. Like it's it's a clusterfuck of tragedy. But
yeah,
on the end of that spectrum though is Chihiro, which was like the new light in his life that he made sure would shine brighter than anything else. And Chihiro fucking shines.
yeah, and I mean, like the last thing I want to say is like it's like I said about like his dad, like he really fucked up that family, and the ripples of his actions, like they trickle, like they're still felt. And Kunishige's mom, like I really feel for her, bro. Like I genuinely feel for her, because you know that like it's not something that like she wanted to do. Like even going as far as to like dog on her as a mom, like I wouldn't like that,
Yeah.
because I genuinely feel for her character. I think Hokuzono presents that in a way where you could only feel for a character like her, and I can't imagine. I genuinely can't imagine.
Yeah, she
And I
was
think
never
it's like,
given an opportunity to you know, like you could extrapolate
oh
whatever
yeah,
you want out of their story, but the fact remains of like that poor woman, she was doing her best too when it was all said and done, but like I said, like
mm-hmm.
you already talked about, kind of damage already done.
Was the best guy around.
Yeah, dude, and she was going for Chihiro's. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't stop mixing them up. She was going for Kunishige's eyes, like this. For those that know, like this gave me some like big blood on the tracks vibes, and back when Dandadan used to be good or had a couple of good arcs.
The stray
There's
is
also
crazy.
there's also for those that know, there's also like a specific arc that features uh, a tragic character backstory. Again, you see these tropes before, and like, but I thought like Don Don also executed that very well,
You know,
in terms of like tragic mothers, and it really hits
the
this like,
feeling.
and the presentation here as
Oh,
well. I'm sorry,
beautiful.
Tiberius, like with the water drops as well, and like followed by her note and Kunishige having to figure it out. The I wasn't really lonely panel. Like there's so much to this chapter. Go ahead. Again, I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, you're good. Like funny thing to talk about Donadon is the when I was reading this chapter, like the rooftop ballerina episode of Donadon, like was kind of like in my head the whole time. You know, like just them with the like kind of you know s- um she's on the roof and doing her ballet to drop down to her demise. um like I kind of felt like that was like kind of playing in my head when I was reading this, and especially at the end, like I can, like when this gets animated in 5 years, man, like like I can see this being one of those heavily like, man, the director's gonna have to really cook because like everything is gonna be so like like this really is like such an important chapter, like you know what I mean, like we didn't really expect to get, especially considering the time we got it. But I do want to mention that we do have a $2 dono from Damn Ya Taylor 554.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hey fellas, have y'all seen the Kagurabachi drama? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, we have.
we kind of
For
spoke a
sure
little
we
bit
have.
about it. It's there's validity in a good bit of it, and there's also a little bit of you know people spotlighting or like just choosing to go forward with reading the series with a unfair lens which is, and that's gonna suck to see festering into a whole shit show later on.
Yeah, I don't have much of an opinion on it. Like my take is that, uh, you know, my obviously like I can only speak for myself, and this is just an opinion, but I'm well aware that like Hokuzono doesn't write like perfect female characters. Like there are definitely flaws, and just like there are flaws in his writing in general. Um, but I don't think it's in bad faith, and a lot of it I think can is definitely attributed to Japanese culture and the society we live in. But I do think people, it's totally fair to criticize as long as it's in good faith. So I know Cal put out a video on it. Apparently it's great. So go check that out for obviously like I'm sure most of you have already. Um, but I haven't seen it yet. But apparently does a pretty she has a pretty good take on that. So go check that out.
And back to the chapter though. Like we talked a lot about Kunishige, and maybe we're part of the problem, Dice, bringing up the man first. You know what? Now, but
No,
like
well, I mean,
I think
it is
Chiaki is the
first half
highlight for me.
Kunishige.
I think Chiaki is the highlight of this chapter. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
singing her praise like crazy, and if people get hung up on like Kunishige's mom's role when like she's such a minor character, and when you look at the overall series, but like look at Chiaki, like that, like she's moving with like purpose, you know what I mean? And like say, if you could say like, oh, all this just to be a springboard for Kunishige's character, I think that's like just you're being disingenuous to like her as a character
100%.
herself, for like the woman that she is.
100%. Yeah.
But like I think she's literally like just so like her character is impressive, man. Like she every time I see her, like I could tell there's like just it's like a shitty situation that she didn't want no part in, obviously, and she's kind of she's dealing with all the repercussions and getting the shit end of the stick. But like for her to still like rise above that, at least for me as a reader, like I'm like literally like she probably in my top 5 characters.
Oh wow.
Dude, I love Chiaki's character.
Yeah, I mean she's great. I would not be surprised at all if by the time it's all said and done she is even top 3 for me, because I'm pretty vocal in terms of like my issues with some of these, you know, uh, like the writing of some of these characters, whether it's Chihiro, whether it's Samura, whether it's Shiba, Azami. Um, but yeah, I think it's just how can you hate Chiaki, right? Like how can you not like, you know, her as a character, and she's clearly written in a way, and obviously this is very surface level, but like she is the bright spot, right? Just like Chihiro is, you know,
Yeah.
what 18 years later, whatever it is, 15 years later, whatever, uh, or after he's born, basically, I guess in a couple of months, really, when you when you deep it, but throughout, as Kunishige raises is obviously what I'm trying to say, but like.
Yeah. Like,
I
bro, like I feel like Kunishige, and there's been I have seen like the discourse about Chiaki, if she had, did she even want to be a mother or this, that, or the other, like which we still need to see her character being like flushed out. You know what I mean? The story is nowhere near done yet, so like getting hung up on things that like haven't even happened yet is always ridiculous to me as well. But I personally think like the man that Chihiro is present time, Kagurabachi, is an exceptional like young man. Like what he stands for, he takes care of his people, like he values others like convictions, he faces challenges, he is logical, but like and Like, I think that is someone that like Chiaki would be proud of. I feel like any mother, any parent would be proud of like that as, you know, someone like Chihiro. You know what I mean? Like, and that couldn't have happened, you know, without like, cause as you know, we talked about Chiaki being the light and to illuminate Kunishige's like abyss around him and get him out of that darkness. He lost that light, but like, you know, Kunishige, you know, when raising Chihiro, which of course we will still have to see happen in the future, but like, I feel like he, instead of thinking about what happened in his life, I feel like he just focused on trying to try to raise an individual that is, you know, someone that like people would look at, you know, as like that's Chiaki's son. Like, see what's good in her, would see that like that's Chihiro.
The more we see Chiaki, the more we see her in Chihiro, especially like looking back at like again those chapters beats like of Chihiro and Kunishige and just the way Chihiro moves with everyone else. Like obviously we know the type of man Kunishige is and how others view him, you know, especially like the Enchanted Blade Bearers, guys like Samura and Uruha. But Chihiro, just the way he carries himself, uh, is you know very Chiaki, and yeah, that's something I also like appreciate about her character. That like
But see,
it's you know the fact that Chihiro like a lot like it seems like a lot of like most of the good about Chihiro comes from Chiaki. I guess is really what I'm trying to say.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair to be honest. But you know, like one thing that, and this is, you know, where is the mentions of Chiaki to Chihiro? Like, we know for sure Shiba and Azami were childhood friends with Chiaki as well as Kunishige. You know, they even predated, like their friendship predated their relationship. You know what I mean? It's not like they introduced them, you know, or whatever. Like, so is this like a choice on Hokazono to refrain from mentioning anything about Chiaki in part one, to just more like introduce the story and like the main conflict with the Enchanted Blades and all that, and then like when we cut back to it, will we begin to see like Azami saying, "Oh, that's, you know, that reminds me of Chiaki," or you know what I mean? Those, like, do you think we're gonna get things like that in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, what could you
Like
summarize that
Azami
question, please?
saying, "Man, you remind me of Chiaki more and more each day," to Chihiro.
Yeah, I mean, well, Shiba has it like so far. It was only Kunishige, the one that's like brought up Chiaki way back early in Kagurabachi, right? Like he was like, "Oh, you're logical, like your mom," right? Like Shiba's
Well,
never
Kunishige said that
mentioned.
to Chihiro when I think when
Yeah,
he did the True
Kunishige.
Realm.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I feel I don't know. My perspective, like the way I see it is like Shiba and Azami aren't really speaking about Chiaki. I don't, you know, we don't know what happened yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if like the sword, you know, just like Akamura, Chiaki was like, you know, she was not to be brought up unless it was Kunishige himself, right? Obviously.
That's what I'm
But I
like.
wouldn't,
That's, I guess, what I'm
yeah.
wondering, if there's like a certain moment for like Shiba had to wait, like they promised Kunishige that they wouldn't bring it up. That's why I was like wondering if it was like a choice for Hokazono to refrain from mentioning anything about Chiaki in part one, so that way it could kind of just start the flushing out the story and things like that. And then now, because if we, you know, some people believe that this is Shiba telling Kunishige more about the Seite War. Like, so like now that he's gonna find out all of this stuff, with that in mind, I guess with that springboard, there being more of a reason that allows the characters to kind of mention Chiaki to Chihiro to some degree. I mean, there's not a lot of people who really knew her.
Yeah, and like I have to be honest, like I said what I said, but I also feel like Sheba wouldn't be beneath like saying, like, oh, that's just like your mom or something. And especially like you're saying, like after Kunishige died, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like 3 whole years that we don't know, and we haven't really gone like any sort of flashback of. I
Yeah,
mean,
what
yeah, we
happened
have
to
gotten like
those?
bits, but yeah, exactly. Not like between Sheba and Chihiro. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we get some flashbacks to those 3 years when Chihiro was first wielding the enchanted blade, and was kind of like, well, I don't know if like going under Sheba's wing is like accurate way of putting it, because I don't think that's really what happened.
By the way,
But just basically,
if I
yeah,
was
go ahead.
still a Sheba hater, I would have a parade this chapter.
Why?
Oh, just like not going to check on your homie and stuff like that. Like, I mean, obviously we knew that they were like,
You're
just
just fine to slander. You're
like
just fine, like how to slander the
I
guy,
was
right?
reading
Like
this
even
shit
hypothetically speaking,
like
you're like if,
Azan,
if I were to slander him, I would just.
especially like Sheba knew like what all like transpired and all
uh,
that. Like, and then when he pulls up on him and knowing that Kunishige don't have a way to take care of himself and ate before he went to Kunishige's place is crazy.
yeah, I wonder how much Shiba knows about this as well. Like what
And to
what we
bring
just
up
got this
Azami and
chapter.
Sheba, like we know that they struggle with their upbringing and things like that. Because they said that they all
Points that
shared.
Kunishige says, yeah, they all have their own stories.
And I wonder if like we're gonna meet Papa Soga.
That's the question, right?
Yeah, because I didn't think we were gonna meet Grandpappy Rokuhira.
Yeah,
And
yeah, no, but Chiaki, man, like what else can like we really say, right? Like she's just taking care of her friend, right? And a guy that she clearly has strong feeling towards.
yeah, just as
Uh,
she means a lot that she doesn't want anything. Kunishige doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. She doesn't want anything bad to happen with Kunishige, and you know I forget the exact wording. I don't have the chapter pulled up, but she mentioned like she had a bad feeling or something like that with Kunishige, and it's like just that like she had the access to be able to leave the Soga compound. You know what I mean? That she could just go out and go check on him, and it sucks like the position that they're in currently because of like her awakening the prophecy.
yeah, yeah, but again, like for like this chapter, that like that moment when like Kunishigi's crying because of how good the food is, you know, and like what you I think just addressed, kind of like Kunishige, he kind of like he pulls the Shinji, in terms of like the hedgehog dilemma stuff. I don't know if you remember from Eva, those that know from Evangelion, like he sees like the potential of like him hurting his friends, just like he hurt his mother, and he kind of stays away from them. And again, here comes Chiaki,
Like forcing her way in, like
and
not letting himself isolate himself.
yeah, yeah, and again, that's why that moment when he's crying because of how good the food is to be is such a powerful moment, and the imagery, especially like juxtaposed with like the water drop of when his mom, you know, offed herself. It's, I don't know, just very subtle but really powerful stuff from Kunishige. I'm not sure like that was intentional, or I'm just kind of like reading into it incorrectly or too much or whatever. Um, that panel, by the way, just completely off topic, but like that panel of the stove is again Hokusono
Yeah, that man just
just putting
cooking
a target
literally.
on his back. Yeah, I know it's peak, but like the ink,
Oh yeah,
you know.
that reserve is going dwindling, boy. Another thing
Yeah.
that I want to bring up, and I talked about this earlier in the episode, but from where we left off, what was the last thing 125 said? It's now we tame the gods, right? And then we see your boy, I forget his name, bird person, Mr. Batman and Robin head ass dude. But the opening Joji, that's it.
Joji, I did not know who you were talking
bro, I
about.
couldn't I could not get. My God, it's been a while. Forgive me. And then we saw like the multiple Subaru reactions, and then we start this chapter with like fire. I wonder, like, I guess out of these two possibilities, which one I guess do you feel more like sure about or feel strongly about? That Subaru, this chapter being called fire, obviously we know about like his dad being a swordsmith and all that, but do you think that could play into Subaru's sword is being crafted and having a fire ability as well, like an actual enchanted blade with a fire theme? Or do you think it could be a scenario where these are Kunishige's thoughts? Because he like literally the opening says, I inherited these eyes from my dad. Like this is Kunishige as like with the narrator. Do you think that these are his like thoughts as he's cooking up the sword to save Chiaki, which would eventually end up being the Magatsumi? Are those like it's Subaru's sword and it relating to fire, or do you feel strongly about the Magatsumi and these are like his thoughts while he's crafting the first EB?
Like which one of those two I think is more likely?
Or I guess if you felt more strongly towards one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fire blade I think is more likely. I think because I think this is just kind of like like normal narration from Kunishige. I'm sorry, I'm like struggling to put it into words, but yeah, I think there's nothing like really to this narration. I don't really think this is him kind of thinking as he's making the blades. I mean, obviously I could be wrong. It's not the way I see it right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think hinting at the fire, fire-based blade would be a bit more likely. We've talked about this before. Because of Flamebone, I'm not sure how likely a fire enchanted blade or like a fire-based enchanted blade or an enchanted blade with fire-based abilities, like how likely that is, since we already have Flamebone. But I do think. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. You could be onto something, when it comes to like the narration. It's just, because obviously the fire, he's about to start forging. He got through the smelting process, the Datara smelting process. So he's about to go into forging. What you're saying, like, it's obviously not crazy at all. This could be like, he could definitely be reflecting on his past as he's making the enchanted blade. But if you're right about the Magatsumi being the first blade, he's definitely packing some trauma into that. Yeah, it's not just saving Chiaki.
Yeah, boy, he's packing a heater with this one.
Yeah, he's packing some hate into that. It's not just like the Mikaboshi and like saving Chiaki. He's like packing some demons.
Well, the way I look at it is like everything in this chapter is like, what Kunishige obviously like the internal issues, that stem from like, what he got from his parents, obviously. And the thing, like, it just felt like he just didn't, kind of almost like how Chiaki says she doesn't care about the her that's like Princess Soga, or however she said it back in like 122 or 123. It kind of feels like Kunishige just has no, like, he can't cry for himself. Like, it's like he's that far gone from like even feeling bad about him, like his, situation. Like the first drop that we get from him in terms of water is him crying from Chiaki feeding him, and just the fact of her, illuminating his life. Like that, like I said, like her showing the urgency to like go there. I mean, she stood out in the rain for like, 2 hours, working up her nerves, and I thought it was funny too how like
which is so cute of her, by the way.
yeah, exactly. It feels like she knows she has to do
She don't
something,
want to
but
bother.
she's still like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
timid, young girl. And I like Kunishige's face is like, huh? He's just like a little brat. And
Yeah,
he's
but
like,
like you see the little like the he's blushing.
yeah. When
You
she
know.
said, I'm so glad you're okay," and then you see that like little Bart Simpson esque like little badass kid, facade like drop, and you could tell like, oh,
Yeah.
she like the door, she propped the door open, and she basically slammed that door open now, like towards the end. I just think, man, like I can't believe this chapter like really hit me as hard as it did, but I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you can throw out all the bullshit going on in the fandom and the things that people are like, um, you know, telling you what you should worry about, and sure, there's validity in some of it, but like just like reread this chapter without thinking of any discourse, and you're gonna grow to love them together, like them. I mean, obviously this is children here, but you know what I mean, like this is the beginnings, and like seeing everything they're going through now, it's just like kind of, I would love to go back and reread the from 113 to where we're at now with this like new information.
Yeah, it's crazy how like we already want to reread an arc that is like hasn't even ended and is probably nowhere near ending anytime soon. Um, but something we haven't really like touched on, and it's pretty like obvious, and it's like it's oh, I'll just say it, like, right, it's we now see how much like there is to Kunishige wanting to save Chiaki. It's so much more than just like romance, and because we had that one chapter where like Hokuzono did a pretty good job kind of framing um that romance, and just their relationship.
They're not just
And
childhood sweethearts. She saved him.
basically, yeah, perfectly put, Tiberius. Appreciate it. Because that's that, like that right there, man. And again, we haven't like mentioned it until now because it's so just in your face. But the more you think about it, it's a big reason why these characters, despite how flawed they are, again, you just can't help but feel for them. And Chiaki, man, like she, if anything, she's the one that you know so far seems kind of like if I flawless. I mean, I think her flaw, not in terms of like character writing or anything like that, but in terms of like as a person, is pretty clearly now the fact that she's dismissing, like you said, the Chiaki for her responsibilities as a Princess Soga.
She doesn't value her
Um,
own, like she doesn't value her own
yeah,
sense of self, her own
but that's
individualist.
again, and that's why Kunishige is trying to save her, just like she once saved him.
And I do
So
think that her final decision, whatever the call it is that ends up making her lose her life, I do think it's her making a choice for herself to die as like Chiaki Soga and not as live
the
as Princess
princess,
Soga. Like her
yeah,
and whatever you say, like, oh well, that means she's dying to like save Kunishige or whatever that future scenario is gonna be, even if it does happen. It's the fact of her as an individual makes a decision for herself, what she wants to do from the bottom of her heart, not what she feels like or what others are
yes,
telling her to feel. So it's like,
and what she hasn't done since she got with Kunishige to have Chihiro, but but what she hasn't been able to do in so long, you know, since she became princess.
yeah, first
So
think for herself and
yeah,
like not, just valuing like what she wants is important too, and just accepting, how things are going to fall out. I mean, obviously, when you have like the prophecy power and, we still have a lot left in the war, a lot can happen, but Hokuzono's for sure threw us a bunch of curveballs in the past few chapters with the Mikaboshi and that crazy ritual. um, this like seeing Kunishige's like start, and you never know what to
Yeah,
expect
with this
next.
whole arc, he's just been flexing all sorts of muscles. He's just been flexing like different muscles, really. Like when you look at like what he's been cooking up in the writing department, what he's been doing with these characters, like both new and returning characters, it's yeah.
And
Again, nothing surprises me from Hokuzono anymore.
yeah, like we didn't mention about it, but of course, like Chihiro's, like his bandages are kind of like right where Chihiro's scar is.
Oh, Kunishige's. Oh yeah, good. Yeah, good.
Yeah, there's
Let me see. Let me take
that.
a look at that.
And like those eyes that
Yo, that's so good. That's
yeah,
so
Ikura
good,
wishes.
dude. Ikura could never, bro. See, these are the like only the Rokuhiro can pull it off, bro. Like, stop it.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know if
stop
I
it,
don't know if
bro.
they want to be the only ones that have to like have aura by the trade off of tragedy, but hey, Okazono
Ikura, the
cook.
inverse, like, the literally like inverse as an in-universe cosplayer of
You just
Kagurabachi.
confused the hell
Crazy,
out of
bro.
me. I don't know if I'm
With
smart
his
enough to know what
inverse.
that. I don't know if I'm smart enough to.
Never mind.
But I mean, dude,
uh,
I tell you what though, like, and we kind of didn't talk too much on it, with this being live, we
yeah,
didn't
what
want
is it?
to like go too dark or deep on this thing, but man, like,
Let's go. Let's do it. What are we talking about? Just kidding.
so women, right? I'm just playing.
Stop it, bro.
The
Come on.
No, Kunishige as a child, like trying, like
Come
acknowledging that
on,
he
dude.
sees the error, like, and what his dad did, and trying to be there for his mom, and just like, him being around her just made her hurt, made her look at him like made her feel like more pain because he resembled his dad so much. And you know, I got
Good
a,
shout. Good shout.
like I have a homie that you know, some stuff happened basically, and he ended up passing away. But and I'm not to put their business out, but basically like their son, they kind of went through not as dramatized or as bad as this, but like kind of you know I've seen like a child like that trying to acknowledge the wrongdoings of their parent that they lost, and then also when they don't understand, like because kids always blame themselves for things. What did I do wrong? Why why are they, is mom mad at me or dad mad at me, this, that, or the other? Like I've seen that kind of happen, like from a third person point of view, like IRL. And like it just kind of like those, like your past experiences kind of really is what matters when you experience literature or any media, really, because it's like your past experiences define what's going to hit for you and what's not. But like seeing that like little boy Kunishige just trying to be there for his mom, and like what that ended up becoming, like it's just so like I'm really, like, I know I talked about seeing his like thoughts while he's raising Chihiro, excuse me, but like the added
Mhm.
weight of like the genocide with the malediction, that also like adding into the man, like Kunishige, he really put up a lot, man. You may not like, some of y'all may not like him, but he's one of the better shonen dads. Just everything he put up with, man, and hell of a son he raised.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't think we really highlighted that enough, right? Just the
Just how
fact that
dark.
he yeah, and the fact that like, and I know this was said, right? But just to really emphasize like how much he tried. He's been trying since he was a kid, and I do like what you bring up because that is very true. I have heard that a lot before in terms of Chihiro. Kids will always blame themselves, right? Especially like in under circumstances like these when they don't know better and they don't understand. And we see, again, we see what it leads, like it leads to Kunishige then wanting to like stay away from his friends, and only Chiaki is able to break through to that. And like we just talked about, like she saved him, and we see just like why she means so much to him. He
Yeah.
wasn't able to protect his mom. He wasn't like able to be there for his mom. He wasn't able to save his mom. But he was saved, and he isn't like going to allow anybody to take away the person that saved him. Um, and yeah, and he tried with Chihiro. He didn't stop trying.
Yeah.
He definitely did his best.
Yeah, man.
And again, Chiaki was no longer around, so he had to pick up the pieces. You know,
I mean, I gotta say this too.
and
Like, my bad,
yeah,
Dice. No, go ahead, brother.
no, it's like you said. I don't think he deserves. He definitely doesn't deserve the slander. I mean, and if he did at one point, I think we're starting to see, and not to say that like your tragic backstory excuses your actions as an adult, because let's be real, like I also don't want to. That's I don't think that, but I think it further, again, just recontextualizes, and it's not like we've seen a whole lot of Kunishige in quote unquote like the present to like say he's a shit dad and this and that. Like what we've seen is just Chihiro putting in a lot of work, and I think this just, again, it just adds
Yeah.
more context to why things were the way they were. And yeah, he wasn't perfect. He was flawed as a person, broken, and I think among the more tragic characters, if not the most tragic character in Kagurabachi.
Like, bro, like,
So
it's to the
it is
point.
what it is.
Like, earlier we talked about like, like what his mom did is, like she was just broken. She just got pushed so far past her, like,
The limit, to the
yeah,
brink, past the edge.
exactly.
Just
Just way, way past to where she just couldn't like fathom continuing on with like the the adversity that's right in front of her, of reminding her of her past pain. Like, obviously we know she wasn't a woman that's like predisposed to act like that with her child. So like, the fuckhead dad, basically put her, pushed her past this limit. We can, and like I said, we don't agree with the action, but we can understand like why, like how that came to happen. Now, if we can do that with her, like, I have to ask the people that do still have issues with Kunishige that, but he was also a child in that same dynamic, also being affected. Then also the added weight of his mother doing it, attacking him, and doing her thing, which, like, seeing that as a child, I can't even imagine, like, walking on your mom and like that. But he still was able to, be a good parent. Like, that's what, like, that's one thing that I know I'm kind of getting like hung up on this episode, but it really is just boggles my mind that like y'all, like, people are just putting a super critical, analytical, like microscopic lens on who Kunishige was as a dad. But like, if we can understand why, how the mom came to like that sort of like scenario, how can we not factor in like what everything that, I mean, I know I'm not talking about you specifically, Dice, or anyone in chat really, for that matter, but like this trauma, like it doesn't, it also hit him too, and it's like only been, exponentially growing as his life continued on, really. And like, no, it's not Chiaki's job to save him, but like, the thing is though, she did save him. Like, she cared enough, she made the effort to check on a friend, and
yeah,
that is what saved this little boy. And this little boy now
yeah,
has the means and the ability to try and save the person that saved him, and he is the only person that's doing anything about it. That,
facts. There you go. Yeah,
like, Hiroto Soga, Akamura said Hiroto wouldn't stand for this, and Giyu told him Hiroto tried his way and he died, so this is my way. But the thing is, Kunishige is not allowing those like parameters to like stop him. Like if it means becoming a enemy of the state, he will. But if it means it can save Chiaki, he's willing to go through those, you know, through that route, through all those obstacles, and he's doing that. We know that he I mean succeeds to you know, to a certain degree, but I mean obviously we still lose Chiaki. But it's like I don't know, man. Like I get people maybe not like feeling Kunishige too much, but I'm really like Chiaki and Kunishige, like I might mud wrestle you over them, bro.
No, I mean, again, I think you see a lot of bad faith arguments when it comes to, I mean, in fandoms all the time, right? So I just try not to engage with those. And if you have the slightest bit of empathy, you can understand where most of these characters are coming from. Again, none of them are perfect, but I think they all make you feel something. And that's really, you know, it's most of what I look for. I won't say it's all I look for, but it's a lot of what I look for. So yeah, banger chapter. I don't know about you, but I don't have a lot more to say. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to sitting with this chapter and seeing where Hokuzono.
It's one of those
goes
chapters that that's gonna sit, I think, with all of us for a long time, and it's gonna be a chapter that we revisit. You know, and I think that going forward now, or going forward from here, I don't think we're gonna continue on in this flashback. I think we're gonna cut back to like the, you know, the where 125 left off basically, but a continuation of that. And hey, if I'm cooking with the whole this is Kunishige's thoughts or memories as he's cooking up the first EB, I'll pat myself on the back. But hey, you know, I said I've been wrong many times.
No, I'm glad you bring that up because I was gonna say that yeah, I might have been tripping. You might have been like totally on the money with that. Like is Hokuzono really just randomly dropping this chapter right here? Like when I said that Kunishige might be packing some trauma into those blades, whatever ends up being the you know the blade he's forging, he might just pack some trauma into every single one of them. You know,
Yeah.
it'd be funny to see like him get a flashback with each
Oh
blade.
yeah, all the
That would
EB.
definitely be something.
Like Sheba
But no,
pants me in
especially
front of Chiaki, you know, the other day. Like I'm gonna add that to it.
but no, specifically if it's the Magatsumi, I have to say this is crazy, and you know, you deserve some credit for that, and it would be like a great, you know, great call if it is like him putting some trauma uh into the Magatsumi itself. But regardless, I don't think this is just like a random chapter where Hokuzono just said, well, let me just dive into Kunishige's tragic backstory here just because, you know, there's almost certainly like a reason for it. Like I said, like he might not literally be like thinking about this as he's forging, but like the context here and now, there's a reason for it. So yeah, we'll see. You might be onto something, Ty.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the beautiful part about all this is we are only 1 week away from the next chapter, and it's not a month.
Mm.
You know, like that's such a beautiful feeling that we're getting a chapter next week. You know what I mean? Like we're back, baby.
Yeah.
And fuck,
Yeah.
this chapter hurt to come back to, but you know, let us know, you know, in the comments below how y'all felt about this. Our first live episode, it was a bit weird doing this live, if I'm being honest. Not that like Chad was distracting or anything, but just like, you know, I think this being like the contents of this chapter made it a little bit harder as well, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
And I mean, like I said, I also have like this personal like hang up, you know, currently dealing with like my father's stuff, which, you know, I don't try and bring up too much like in content space. But like,
Yeah.
you know, I felt strongly about Kunishige as a dad and how he's been kind of like getting hate. And I think that, you know, like, you know, just how I view my dad, I know like, you know, like Kunishige is just a flawed man doing his best to give his son the stage to shine. And I feel like that's what he did.
Yeah, facts, brother. Facts, brother. It's like I said, these characters aren't perfect, but they definitely make you feel something. And most of the time it resonates with me. So
Welcome back, Goat. But that'll do it for us. See y'all next week.
yeah.